how you present your work can be a bit confusing and become a bit of a dilemma. And I've had quite a few people ask me, how do I mount my work? How do I frame it? How do I get it ready for an exhibition or a show or a craft fair or as a gift for somebody? And so this is what this tutorial is going to be about. Welcome to Friday Art. How are you? I hope you're well. My name is Cate Field and I have been an art teacher for a very long time. It's so lovely to have you here. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you a few ways of how to create some really exciting mounts and a few ideas on how to present your work for a show. Let's go.
How we present our work is really important, but it does depend on what you're doing and what you want. Now, if you are showing in a gallery space, then the curator will have a very clear recommendation on how they want you to present. And so you need to follow their rules. These two are the latest pieces that I showed last month, and the only recommendation that the curator wanted was size and dimension and the back. So the back needed to be on D-rings, ready to hang, and you needed to have a little label on the back which was really clear. But other galleries will want different things. If you're working on a canvas, it might be that they want to have hooks, but you need to follow what they want. Now, if you are just presenting for yourself and you're doing your own thing, or if you are presenting in like a craft show or a craft fair or something like that, then it's entirely up to you how you want to present your work. Now, for my small collage pieces, I quite liked this sort of deep frame, and you can, well, if you look in there, you can see it's actually coming away. So I am going to take this apart and redo it because it's just got slightly squiffy on it. Not quite sure what's happened there. But with this one, I particularly wanted to have a plain white frame just so that I could show off the collage. Now with this one, I had a couple of people ask me about this one because of the mount. They said, how did you get that mount? Well, I made the mount. No, I didn't make it, I painted it. And that's one of the things that I'm going to show you how to do in this tutorial, because you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a mount that is actually really individual and suitable for your work. Now, the other thing that I do is I like to stitch some of my pieces, and I've stitched this onto a piece of canvas just using my sewing machine, and this will be maybe mounted. I might mount it, or I might just show it with little pegs and hang them from the rod, and we'll see how that goes. The other thing that I do is when I'm working on my series. Now, these are the ones that I created in my tutorial on how to create a series from one sheet of paper. So if you haven't seen that, go back and have a look. And these ones, and I've sold a few because I had an event at the weekend. Just on the back of them, the series, the date, 8 of 8. And they're just in little things that you get for selling cards, that kind of stuff. So they're not mounted at all, which means I can sell them really cheaply, and they're accessible. And you know, lots of people like to buy an original piece of art, but they can't afford hundreds and hundreds of pounds. So having kind of a small postcard size is really nice. And so that's what it is. So they're not mounted or anything. People can do what they want with them. And so what we're going to do in this tutorial, so we're going to take some mounts, some which, like this one, is damaged. I don't know whether you can see that or not. There's a mark on it. Some are sort of cream, some are white. These I got from our local art shop. So they haven't been bespoke. They're not bespoke mounts. I also like sort of the dark ones as well. And as you can see, these ones don't have any backing, but this larger one does. So it has a backing board as well. So wherever you are in the world, you will have different sorts of mount boards and different sorts of frames. And you can buy frames. Now, I did put my frames down somewhere. Now, where are they? Oh, here we go. Hey, here we go. IKEA. Got these ones from IKEA. I quite liked them, and I have used them before. They come with a mount. It's not glass, it's plastic. You could replace that with glass if you wanted to. This is kind of it's not as reflective as glass, as you can see with my ring light there. And that can work really well, actually. And you can put your own back on it, and I would put D-rings and a wire. Now, if you've been following me for the last few tutorials, you may recognise this one from the collage. Now, this is in my sketchbook. I tend to work in a sketchbook when I'm playing around with ideas, but I thought it might be useful for you to see how I then move from my sketchbook into a finished piece. And quite often I will take a mount and I will sort of place it in different parts of an image to look at the composition and to think, oh, yeah, I quite like that. And obviously this composition is a square, but if I wanted to do something in a different format, you can see that you can play around, use your frame to use your mount, sorry, to think about the composition. You see, I actually quite like that, so I think I might take that bit and take it further. So I wanted to show you that because it's really helpful, and you could do that with with a white one to see what it looks like with a smaller space. White, move it about. You could take photographs of this as all sort of part of your learning. Oh, pop that one there. That's quite interesting. Learning about composition. So I'm going to start with this one, and I have already primed it with gesso mixed with water. You don't have to use gesso. You could use a combination of PVA glue and water, or you could go straight in with white acrylic. But I like gesso because it gives a very nice finish. Now this one is going to be for this piece here, which I have put in a bit of plastic in case it gets covered in paint, because I get very messy. And what I want to do is to pick out some of the colours, but not to sort of overwhelm it. So I've got my palette here. I'm using acrylic paint, deep turquoise, a cobalt blue, my glorious fluorescent pink and white. So I've got that all ready, and I'm going to be using a stencil and a very soft brush. So we're going to start off by using some white, and I'm just going to put some white over part of the frame on top of the gesso. You won't be able to see this very much, very clearly. Let's do that then. I'm just going to take a tiny bit of the blue, and can you see that that's mixing with the white acrylic to create this sort of textured effect with a dry brush, which is what I like. Really liking that. So sort of bring that together. So don't be afraid to sort of try things. I'm just adding that turquoise. Now this will be a bit overpowering to begin with, but you'll see what I do later with it, because then you'll see how it works. Let's do a bit of that. Just add a bit more white over that bit there. So I hope you're well. Thank you so much for your lovely comments. Enjoying reading them very much, especially you telling me all about your weather, because spent a lot of time talking about the weather here in England. It's brilliant. And we have had sunshine, although it's cold, it's still cold. It's, as you can see, I'm just filling this up. I'm doing it quickly. I'm not thinking about it too much. Don't think about it too much. Allow yourself to play. See, I like those sorts of marks. Do some here. And in a moment, I'm going to use one of my favourite tools when I'm working with acrylics. I wonder if you can guess what that might be. I think some of you might have guessed. Let me just do that bit there. Once again, getting very messy. Had a lovely comment the other week from a lovely lady who said that she was enjoying getting very, very messy. Because it's good, isn't it? Sometimes we just need to do that. Right, I'm just going to leave that like that for a moment. So, did you guess the favourite tool? Cardboard. And an egg carton. Very sophisticated me. This is just ordinary packaging. Nothing fancy about it. But it has a gorgeous texture. I love it. I'm just going to tear it up a little bit. And I'm going to use, just going to use it to put into the pink paint. And now I'm just going to create some marks on this. So they're all a little bit random, which is fine. I might just do some dabbing, which I think always works well. Again, allow yourself to play. Let's just do a few marks like this on there, and then with my egg carton, I'm going to go in with white and put some marks over the top like that. And that is coming along. It's bright, it's still very bright, and it would be too bright for the artwork, but this is the start. And I was doing a workshop over the weekend with a lovely art group in Winchester in Hampshire in England, and I was talking about going through the messy stage, and working our way through the messy stage is really important. And it's a time when we can get a little bit despondent and we might think this is just not going very well at all and we give up. Please don't give up. Don't give up. It's just the messy stage. That's all it is. I thought I would show you another technique using one of my smaller ones, and I'm using my stencil spongy thing, which is very soft. You could use a makeup brush, and again I'm just applying this dry, so this is paint directly onto the prepared board. And just do that. Pushing it in. It's quite a kind of a misty background going on here. Again, work quickly. Don't kind of think about it too much. Just do that like that. I'm going to add a little bit there, and then that little bit of turquoise. And I'm just going to lift some of it up. This is a bit of sheet, just a bit of rag that I always have there. Yeah, no, I'm quite liking that. I'm going to leave that to dry, and I've done a couple more, and I'll show you what I'll do with them next. So back here, I'm going to use some stencils now, and stencils can add some really interesting textures. And I'm using a darker sort of it's called Midnight Blue, but I would say it's more of a greeny storm colour. I'm going to add a little bit of black. That's a bit too much. Might just add a little bit of white to that as well. That's better. That's better. More of a grey. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to go over this. And this straight away is going to take out a bit of the glare of the brightness of the colours on here. It's going to do that. You could use masking tape to hold the stencil down. I'm just using my other hand. Very dry brush, or you could use a sponge. Just like that, just get those in. I'm just going to lift that up. Yeah, that is the effect that I want. It won't stay like that because I'm going to do some other things to it as well, but that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for. Just going to do that on this side. Add a little bit more white. Bring that, and this would just make your work just a little bit more unique, which of course it is anyway. Oh, just put that into view. Okay, lift that one up. Yes, I am liking how this is going. Add that last little bit here, I think, in that grey. Just add a little bit of the turquoise to that. And because it's being put on without any water at all, it will dry very, very quickly. Now, it's still far too fussy for the piece. If I show you now, you'll see what I mean. It's just like, whoa, that's just a little bit too much. So this is where we start to knock this back, and then you'll see how it all works together. Now you might think, actually, quite like that, quite like it as it is. I could now do a piece that would go in there, perhaps a sort of a minimalistic piece that will have this kind of funky frame, but that's for another time. I've got these three little ones that I did, and so while I'm waiting for the larger one to dry, I'm going to do a little bit of stenciling on this one with these, I call them bubbles actually. they just remind me of bubbles, and I like them. I'm working over two at the same time, so you can hold it down with some masking tape if you want to. But I do think that working like this, you have to work quickly, and that can be quite liberating. It can free up your mind a little bit, because we can get really bogged down with details, how it's going to look, is it going to go wrong, you know, all of those sorts of things, which are quite normal to think like that. But I feel that sometimes we can let those sorts of worries get in the way of our creativity, which is why I encourage all of my students to play, whether they're my adult students or whether they're my younger sort of A-level GCSE secondary school students, or my little tinies. So I did a class last week. Oh my gosh, it was wonderful. They were so sweet. they were very little. And yeah, it was great. I was getting them to play and get very messy, and it was really good fun. I'm just going to turn that one round. It's easier to show you. But you can see just by sort of breaking up some of the space on these three, this is beginning to look really quite interesting. Now, I'm not actually sure what I'm going to do with these, because I just wanted to show you, just give you a demonstration, but I'm actually quite liking it, and I think an idea is forming. I'm getting an idea of what I might do with these. And I hope you are. I hope you're getting some ideas of thinking, oh yeah, I could do that. I saw some quite cheap mounts. I'm going to use those, play with those and see what happens. But yeah, I am quite liking that, and I might do some other stuff with that a little bit later. Yeah, let's see what I end up doing with these at the end of the tutorial. Right, I'm back to this, and as you can see, it's still very it's a bit too much. It is a bit too much. Now with this one, I created this using collage papers, and I used my own stencil that I made from just a bit of plastic, just a plastic sleeve that I cut holes in. And I thought, what I could do is keep some of these holes and put them onto the mount. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got this. I'm just going to put that over the top like that. And now I'm going to take some of these. It's going to be a little more difficult to see, I think. I'm going to go into the surface. Just with this sort of grey green, a little bit of blue on there as well. It's still going to look very messy. But beginning to get these shapes in. It's like a cloud, bit of dust, that kind of effect on some of them. So breaking up the surface and just sort of seeing what happens. And this is often the point where it's all messy and you think, oh my gosh, it's just going to look terrible. But trust me on this one. Just see where we go with it. Because I think you might be a little bit surprised as we work through. Again, using very dry. Okay, now I'm using white, just white acrylic on my sponge. And I'm just going to start to brush a little bit over the surface of this, just breaking up a little bit like this, very loosely. Yep, that's looking good. That's what I wanted. Just going to brush some of the surface off that. Oh, just move that there. And now I'm using my other stencil that I used to create these patterns. And I'm going to go slightly off center. with this. Just do a few bits. These shapes are beginning to be reflective of the piece in the middle. Sort of building that up with those elements there. I'm just going to take that out for a moment. So it's coming together, but we're still at the quite messy stage, I think. But that's okay. Just do this. Now I'm going to leave that to dry, because what I want to do on top of this now is to do more marks, just to then finish it. So although we are at the messy stage, we're about 3/4 of the way through. So we are nearly at the end. The next bit we're going to do is we're going to use a black marker. So this could be a Sharpie pen or an acrylic pen. Put your ruler down, and what we're going to do is to create a line, and then inside, because where the mount is, that colour is going to be cream or white, and I don't want it to be, I want it to be black. So can you see that see the effect that that's having on there? Just put that one there. Onto that. And then this one. Like that. If you haven't liked or subscribed and you think that this is the sort of thing that you like, then that would be good. That would be very nice. You can leave a little comment if you want to. Okay, that's coming together. We are nearly there. I might go that way. Still haven't worked that one out yet. Yep, it's definitely coming along though, but it's not quite there yet. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some darker bits around the edge. So I'm using my blue, my black on the one here, and I'm just going to do some edges, just a little bit, and you can just come in a bit. I mean, if this is then going to be framed, obviously that's, take that into consideration as well. Just getting that done. Making that. That's good. I'm going to leave that to dry. I'm now going to use my acrylic fine liner. I was just putting that in there just to remind me of what I needed to do. And I'm just going to go over again, making some marks, breaking up the space just a little bit more. Those sorts of scribbles and textures like that. Some of my students will say, and some people in the comments have said as well, when do you know when to stop? Yeah, it's a good question. If you're not sure, then just leave it for a few days. Don't look at it, and then come back, have a look, and think, yeah, do I need to do a little bit more? Maybe I do. You can usually tell then. This is coming to where I want it to be. We are very, very near to the end. I'm now just going around that black line, because it was just a little bit too straight. I wanted it to be a bit more jagged. So I'm just using a fine liner pen to go over some of it. Like that. So, what did I do with these? I'm going to show you. I found lots of little bits that are left over from when I was doing collage, and I thought, yes, those colours will work really well. So I created 3 little pieces that will actually work quite well, I think, for those. I'm rather pleased with those. They've worked out rather well. If you didn't catch my collage tutorial where I show you how to make these, then you might like to check that one out. And I'll try and put a link below. As I've said before, I'm quite new to YouTube, as I'm still trying out new things. So I'll do my best. But you can find it under art tutorials. And this one I'm really pleased with. I've decided to have it this way up. I think it works really well. And I think I'm going to put it into a black frame. So here we are. I hope you've enjoyed this little session on presentation. I think I'll just put my other little ones out here as well. I haven't stuck these down yet. And I'd love to know what you think in the comments. You might think that it's just far too messy, and that's absolutely fine. We all see things in a slightly different way, don't we? But the techniques you can use however you want in your own creative journey.
I really hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I will be doing some more on presentation and on mounts and things like that, and how to present your work. But in the meantime, have a very creative day ahead of you, and let me know what you think in the comments. I love reading them, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.